this month's Clayton Chamber of Commerce's Conversation from the Vault. This month's episode is brought to you by Brad Palmer, Destination Wealth Advisors. And today's guests are Melissa Overton with medicaltraining.me and Cornelius Kurt with Limitless Coaching. Welcome. We're glad to have you on today's podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So what are we going to be talking about today? Our upcoming Bridge Summit.
Yes.
Very excited about it. We want everybody to know what you guys have planned for that day, and encourage everybody to attend because it's going to be an amazing summit. So
Yeah. You want to start?
No, let's just start.
Okay. We are so excited. So Cornelius and I have partnered together to create an experience, right? So we will be talking about diversity and how it impacts the workplace and how we increase access to our workforce in that situation. We're going to take it into a case study format. We have 5 different participants who are going to come in so that instead of listening to a story, they're going to share their story. And we're going to get to hear it from their words, their experiences of what's going on. And then as we hear their story and we're touched by that, we want to take it a step further and we want to empower by finding out what are the challenges and what are the resources that we have to impact that.
Yeah.
So.
why don't you address the type of situations that we're going to be discussing?
Well, before I do that,
Okay.
Can we take it back for a second?
Sure, absolutely.
For the people who may be watching, I want to hear about Bridge first and how it started, and then why Bridge would be having a Bridge Summit.
Good point. Probably need to bring it full circle, right?
Okay.
All right, so our Bridge Council was brought to us by Gabriella Terry 3 years ago. Was it 4 years ago? Wow. So 4 years ago, she had an idea that she wanted to develop a council here within the chamber. And she had an epiphany of a name, and so she wanted to call it Bridge Council. And Bridge stands for Building Relationships,
Impacting
diversity, and growing the economy. So we wanted to put an arm within the chamber that we were reaching out to minority-owned businesses in the Clayton area so that they felt warm and welcome in everything that we do here at the chamber. And to actually, just extend a hand out and let them know that what the Chamber of Commerce is, how we can help them grow as a business and as a minority-owned business, and how we can help you. And I think it has been an amazing journey over the course of the 4 years in kind of doing a grassroots outreach. And we had our first Bridge Summit last year, and the title of that was Creating a Culture of Belonging. And we had 2 dynamic speakers and a great discussion. And so I feel like that one of the fruits of the labor of this council is looking at the room of our networking events.
Yeah.
It's just been an amazing transformation where this chamber is looking like the community that we serve as a whole. And that's been our goal. And I'm just so thrilled about it. I really am. And I think the council has grown, and so we're really trying to make an impact in the business community.
I think one of the things with the council is the fact that we're encouraging curiosity and understanding, like, how do we go a layer deeper and really make a genuine concerted effort to not only invite everyone to the table, but to understand what that means and what that brings. And that's kind of how this summit kind of came about. This idea was something that the Bridge Council came up with and discussed, at several roundtable meetings about what is it that we wanted to reflect in the community. So that being said, the types of case studies that we are highlighting, and I call them case studies because I'm a nurse, right? But these stories, that's kind of how we chose who we wanted to come to the table, right?
Journeys.
Journeys, yes, I like that better. Journeys.
Yeah.
So I can say this, as I've been in Clayton for just about a year. And before I moved here, I was a little bit, I don't know, but when I got here, I was pleasantly surprised at like the bridge, for instance, and the diversity in the community. I'm really excited about everything that's going on. So this summit kind of just lays that same thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like when we talk about bridging gaps,
Right.
having the resources out there, but not knowing where to find them is a serious problem.
It is a problem.
And so that's why this summit is so important.
Right. Right. We want everyone to know
Right.
that we're here as a resource,
Yeah.
and that we can do those connections and make those, build those relationships, right?
And even though it's Clayton Chamber led, this is for our entire community. It's for our region. And the fact that this is something that we came up with and we wanted, but I think one of the things I love the most about this chamber is the fact that we're not just thinking about our little spot. We're thinking about how is this impacting everyone. So when we look at who's speaking, and how people are getting involved. So to quit teasing you, let's tell you real quick the types of things that we're going to be discussing that day. Do you want to do that? So I'm not talking the whole time.
We'll go back and forth.
See, he does this.
No,
thing.
but
He does this
she's
thing.
so good at this.
I know. I get so excited. I'm like, woo. So some of the case studies that we're looking at is we are looking at someone with a physical disability. And what does that look like? What kind of barriers present in the workforce? Intellectual disabilities. We're looking at race poverty issues. We're looking at gender sexuality issues, and we're looking at those who have been formerly incarcerated. So we wanted, instead of taking a singular approach, diversity is about all the things. It's not just one focus category. And I think sometimes people pigeonhole in and they automatically think it's going to become a race discussion. Right? And I don't think that has to be the case. And I think that what's going to be interesting about this is looking at these different things, even seeing that some of the challenges and barriers are the same. Because people get so laser focused in on their thing and their challenge, and I think sometimes we miss the fact of others. We get so self-absorbed in that, and how things are coming in. So we're looking forward to hearing their stories, right?
Yeah. And we've brought in a powerful panel.
Yeah.
Can you maybe highlight a few people?
Do you want to?
Okay, so NC Works.
Yes.
All right. I think employment, actually having a job, especially right now with the cost of living and being able to have that support. So bringing in NC Works just makes sense. Having them on the panel and doing a case study, which let's talk about case studies.
Yeah, so with the case studies and talking about NC Works, one of the things we're going to talk about are what are some of the barriers that they face in the workplace, and then as groups, how do we go in and recognize what resources we're aware of versus what are things that I need to know. When we think about target audience, like NC Works is a great example of, if I'm struggling to get into the workforce, there are resources through NC Works. But on the flip side, when we're looking at who wants to come to this, and you're thinking, do I want to come? Is this something for me? Like, I look at it from two perspectives. Number one, individual. Right. I think that if you want to be an influencer in the community, you want to be connected. The key to influence and networking is, I think, being aware of the resources, finding out what's going on, so that when someone approaches you, that's fine. Also, though, as a business owner, I look at it from an employment standpoint of, okay, what kind of resources are there if I'm an employer that wants to access some of this? I want to increase and expand my workforce. Therefore, what does NC Works have? They actually have grants and incentives for different programs and different initiatives to come in, and those are things that employers might not even know. So you send your human resources person to come out here and explore and find out what these options are. So in addition to NC Works, who else have we got coming?
So we talked about Mark Hill. Mark
Hall.
Hall. And those two kind of tie together.
They really do.
Because if I get out of incarceration and I can't find a job, so having him in the room doing a case study, but having NC Works in the room and doing a case study just meshes very well. I personally had a brother who got in trouble. And I got to see right front and center, once he got out, he had a very hard time getting back into the groove, could not find a job. Eventually he did, but I don't think it should be that hard. And so having those two in the room just makes sense.
Well, it's cool because he's talking about Mark Hall. That is Hope Center Ministries. And so that is a nationwide organization that reaches out and creates like a living environment and a support system post-incarceration or addiction. And so they are just opening a home now in the Wilson's Mills area for women. And so I happened to find out about him through Dana, because Dana had heard him speak somewhere. And then as we're like meeting with him, like all of a sudden the announcement comes out on social media that this home is opening up. So we meet with him and he blows our mind because he's going to talk about kind of what kind of skills, upskilling is needed, soft skills, communication skills, but also how do you place people in the workforce, like Cornelia said. And as we were looking for a case study, there was a gentleman that was presented to me and said, talk to this guy. He may be the one willing to share his story. And truth be told, he's not going to be our speaker because it was kind of one of these God moment validations. He needs these resources. And so it was like, oh my gosh, like as I listened to him, I said, I don't think you're ready to share your story yet. He's still fresh, new, raw, it's difficult. And I said, but you know what, you're struggling, and that's the whole reason we built this. Exactly. And so I'm going to connect you to Mark Hall with Hope Center Ministries because that's what they do. And so it was kind of one of those full circle moments of like, we're already starting to do the work before we get started, and it validates what it is that we're out to do.
Absolutely.
So in addition to Hope Center Ministries, NC Works, we've got...
So before you go to the next ones,
okay.
I wanted to also highlight something that I saw with the bridge during a meeting and the intentionality of the case studies being a part of this. And, and you guys really went deep on how you wanted this to look.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm going to leave this to you really quick.
Oh, boy.
Because this is important.
Okay.
It wasn't something where you wanted it just to be a couple of hours, oh, it felt great, and then people go back and they don't have the resources.
Yeah.
So why did we go this direction, which is more in depth?
Yeah. I think it is frustrating to go to an event and be inspired and hungry and leave without anything to eat or without a recipe. So with this event, we wanted to create this experience where we could stop and think and create a deeper empathy and awareness for the challenges that are out there in the workforce with any of those situations. But I think the clincher is increasing awareness, but then saying, what can we do about it? Which goes back to the individual perspective and the employer's perspective of what resources are out there. What did I not know that I didn't even know I knew? So when you leave this, we are going to have resources for you to put in hand, and you're going to be able to make real connections. You're going to be able to talk to the people in the rooms and to develop further conversations, because you know what? It's not a one and done kind of situation. The Bridge Council is here to continue these conversations and to evolve as we learn and grow ourselves. I mean, it's just so big, right? So this is a half a day event because we wanted to respect people's time. But the last thing that I wanted to happen was for people to feel like, oh, I walked away with a tissue inspired. And, I hope that they do okay. I feel so sorry for these people. No, it's like, no, what do I know? Who do I know? Who does somebody else need to know? How do I need to connect? Other people on the panel, Johnston County Public Health, we're getting Dr. Marilyn Pearson, right? And she is the director of public health, and she is one of my favorite people. Like, she is so inspiring, and she's so smart, and she's so humble. And the network, she's created something within public health called the Interfaith Ministries, because she realized if she wanted to connect with communities, an easy way to do that in Eastern North Carolina is through the churches, right? And so that's how she's disseminating. So she's going to talk about the current needs assessment that's just come out, and what are the focuses for public health for the next few years. This report just came out, and how do we get access to those resources? And she's involved with Reentry Council that is being rejuvenated across the state for those who've been incarcerated. And then Taylor Kirks. Kirks.
No, go ahead. I was going to ask, so if somebody's watching and they're kind of on the fence about coming, what is the value, aside from what we've already discussed, especially for the people who are, this doesn't really hit home for me, but I'm a community person, so I want to know the knowledge so that I can maybe help. It doesn't have to be somebody I employ. It can just be somebody in my family. It can be a friend. So how do we set the stage for them so that they know that they should be in the room too?
I think one of the things you think about is you're going to leave with more knowledge and growth. I think the other thing that we underestimate when we have events like this is the power of the ability to network in the room with people that maybe you can't get access to easily. Exactly. Dr. Pearson is very busy, and she's humble, and she will return phone calls and do all those things, but she can't possibly be at everything all the time. And so when we take those moments to get that caliber and level of people in the room, and you get access to that, that's just not something that the average guy off the street is able to accomplish on their own. And it's just a logistical thing sometimes. So not to mention the participants, like we're thinking about the panel, because Taylor Kirks with Johnston County Industries is going to be there, and he's the VP, and what services they provide for so many of these disadvantaged populations. We can't even touch it today, right? But there's all these amazing things. But then don't even forget who else is in the room attending, right? That's going to be there that you're like, oh my gosh, I've been trying to meet that person, and they're so busy. Like, so you invest in yourself in something like this so that you grow in knowledge, but you also grow in network, because at the end of the day, I think most of the people that will be attending this are very focused on influence. And to me, influence is about having the knowledge, the resources, the connections. And so it all comes full circle. And just a shout out again to Gabriella Terry for bringing this. I mean, it was not easy to get something started from scratch. And she has just been so diligent in getting the word out there and leading us so fearlessly. And I just think the world of her, and I think the world of the chamber. You know, I don't know that anybody else around here is doing this kind of work, and I'm proud to be a part of it and to be a part of the change that we want to see.
Yeah, and I thank you for that, and thank you, Cornelius, for being here. And I'm so happy that you all are going to be leading this Bridge Summit. So we want to invite everybody to walk a mile, build a bridge, and come and explore unique journeys with us on February 27th.
Yes.
Thank you, all.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.